Today's AskReddit post. What invention was so good that it actually can't be improved upon? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. The comb. There's a great Onion headline that reads, "Comb technology, why is it so far behind the razor and toothbrush fields?" And the answer is, because you can't improve the comb. Even though it was a joke article, it's wrong in that, even though razor technology has changed, it's actually gotten worse. Just use an original OG design safety razor. Once I started using one, I've never had razor burn, and I get the closest shave I've ever had. They made razors worse by adding more blades. They clog up quick, causing hair pull instead of cutting, which can cause razor burn. All I know is there hasn't even been any second attempt at a song about hot cross buns. I think this is my favorite answer, and seasonal. Apparently inkjet printers, because they still suck, just as much as they did 20 years ago. If anything, printers have gotten worse. Can't print B&W, because there's no yellow. Can't scan because there's no yellow. The S-bend, P-trap, in plumbing drains. It is just a bend in the pipe using water to seal out sewer gases from wafting up into your house. It allows us to live in homes with plumbing without smelling everyone's poop constantly. Technically we did improve upon the S-bend, which is why we now have a P-trap instead. I thought P-trap stored pee when I first heard it and didn't understand. The guy who invented WD-40 sold the patent for a ridiculously small sum. Apparently he was certain he'd invent something better. He never did. Water dispersant number 40. I wonder what the first 39 did. They went the way of preparations A through G. The standard drip coffee pot is an engineer marvel. A pump and heating core with no moving parts that is extremely reliable and can be made at an incredibly low cost. The fundamental design hasn't changed since its invention. I read once that the clamp that keeps train cars connected hasn't been improved on in like 100 years. All they've added is a housing from what I understand, but anyone feel free to chime in. That's cool. I believe it. Google says rail cars have a maximum life of 50 years, and there's like a billion of them. So it probably falls more under if it's not broke. Don't fix it versus the clamp being the most perfect design. They have come out with more advanced tech. It's just obviously more expensive than what's clearly been working for a long time. So yeah, why fix it by using the same thing, but a more expensive version? I thought we decided it was the little chocolate plug on the bottom of ice cream cones, but you just gave me a new idea. Chocolate butt plug. Glad to be of service. I believe it is the bone folder used in lethalworking. I could wrong on which tool. I apologize. But I know there is a tool used in lethalworking that the best tool for the job is still the bone one we made before we made civilization. The Liswa, a leather buffing tool made from bone. Archaeologists found some that were used by Neanderthals that were basically the same design as the ones used today. There's also just the plain old bone folder. It's used to fold and crease leather. You also use it to squeeze any bubbles/wrinkles out when you glue two pieces of leather together. The spoon can change the size or a few aspects, but it's a freaking spoon. My spoon is too big. I'm a banana. The hallway. This is actually an invention. Before it was invented, rooms connected directly to each other. I'll do you one better. Homes used to be one big room, usually communal. The hall. Then, we started segregating. Kitchen, wheel, the cooking room obviously gets segregated. Then of course, the sleeping rooms should be segregated. Oh, and the washroom. That should be segregated. This continued to eat away at the hall until it was just a walkway left over between rooms. Hence, the hallway. Horseshoe crab. Egg carton. It is just about perfect for the job. Sure, it had a couple improvements since 1911, but the form factor we still recognize today all over the world is from 1931, I think. I may be mistaken on the year or related patent. That doesn't stop high school physics teachers from making their kids try every year. The iPod Classic 160GB had no room for improvement, which is why they killed it. They couldn't sell users a new one every year. This is one of the things I'm angry about every day. I traded up to an iPod Touch and would give real actual money to Apple to have a new iPod Classic. I've got 3 of them. Buy them used. They're pricey, but you can Frankenstein them with new batteries and even SD cards. Well worth it. I haven't found a better MP3 player. Jerry can. They have actually declined in quality mo. The shorter, wider ones were superior. Fork/spoon/knives. Do you ever see a fork and spoon combined? Or I suppose the spork. Hey, I'm trying here. Paperclip. The US M2 Browning 50-calorie machine gun was designed and built in 1917-18. It is still in production and in use in US aircraft, jeeps, tanks, and infantry. I believe they improved it, so you don't need to manually set the headspace and timing. Also added a safety, but yeah, that's about it. Mod use was pretty much perfect out the gate. The Fender Telecaster. I was going to say P-Bass. Fender owners think alike. My 2015, I think, American Standard Stratocaster is basically identical to 1960s models. Sliced bread. Interesting historical trivia. They tried to ban sliced bread during WWII, but housewives revolted, and bakers told the feds to F off, and so Congress had to backtrack it. The machines to slice bread used a lot of critical war materials, steel etc, and sliced bread needed a lot more wrapping/packaging to keep it fresh, and so consumed a lot more waxed paper than unsliced. At the time, sliced bread had only come out 10 to 15 years prior, and was seen as a bit of a luxury or a convenience. So like a lot of conveniences/luxuries, the War Production/Resources Board determined those material resources would be better used to support the war effort. However, housewives across the nation were very displeased about it, and a huge campaign was started to protest. Bakers were also unhappy, as that would be a big hit to their sales. Most bakers did the math and found that they'd make more money selling sliced bread and paying the fines than they would selling unsliced bread with no fines. So they just ignored the law. After a while the government gave up and rescinded their ban on sliced bread. MIDI. MIDI data has been the same for so long. Since 1983. They actually added more pins than needed when they invented it with the idea it could be improved upon. But it's been mostly the same since then. People have tried to improve MIDI with expressive controllers like Raleigh, but it never really caught on, and original MIDI data is still the most used. I was saying exactly this the other day. It's the protocol, not the physical communication layer, that appears impossible to kill off. Even that funky new controller that only has USB is likely still speaking in MIDI messages over said USB. Schrader valve. Tire air valves. There's a lot of contention in the Schrader versus Presta debate in the cycling community. Presta is only in use because rims were so narrow that a Schrader valve bored too big a hole in them. Now that we are running tubeless, the channel is way too narrow, but Presta has been grandfathered in since it's what everyone's been running for decades. Boston cream pie. Any attempt to improve it only makes it worse. I feel like the cream pie has come a long way since its inception. They've tackled it from a ton of different angles, and while I'll admit the original holds true as the best way to experience a cream pie, the other variations have their own merit. I've always held that good cream pie can improve even the foulest temperament. IDK if this sub is gun friendly, but the recoil operated loading system that John Moses Browning invented for the 1911 pistol has been the standard for well over 100 years. Other companies like Glock have made advancements in magazine, frame, action, and trigger design, but the Glock still utilizes the same recoil system to cycle through rounds. Also, the Russians have made countless external improvements to the AK platform, but the internals have stayed the same since 1947 with no need for any improvements. Firearm design has basically stagnated since the 1950s. New designs are really just a reiteration of existing designs, doing things like flipping a design upside down so the recoil spring is on the top instead of the bottom. The back structure. You mean the bathroom wall? I use a tree. Also, I'm a bear. The Asian soup spoon. But it must be the deep one with a slightly curved tip to stop it from falling into soup. Chopsticks. Possible. But do you think, if they'd invented forks first, chopsticks would have ever taken off? Depends on the culture that I come from. Some things just stick with certain traditions. Door wedge. Disagree, because even a simple material change, wood to rubber, would go on to make it more effective. Mortar and pestle. The best ones today are basically the same as thousands of years ago. Dry erase board is remarkable. The table. Other answers here are like pizza and the wheel, which has undergone huge changes that made the og obsolete. Pneumatic tires, rim with spokes, solid stone. Tables are mostly still just legs plus flat surface all these years later. Edit to the hair splitters. Pretty sure Op is asking about permanent improvements like adding wheels to suitcases. 20-sided D&D dice are a variant of the traditional 6, not an improvement. Not everyone wants their table to fold and have a cup holder, lol. And before that, they were flat rocks. I have a theory that all of civilization is based on a desire for flat, level surfaces to place things on. So the acme of civilization is the library. Toaster. You don't need Bluetooth on a damn toaster. Press button. Exposed. Inefficient. Metal wires resonate heat. Bread toasts. Want more toasting? Turn dial to make heat go longer. Done. Not spell check, it would seem. Somehow it always finds a way to not correct actual typos while correcting actual words. The number 0. I'm not sure if this was more invented or discovered, but without it, lots of modern math, architecture, physics, code, etc. would have a lot of trouble with calculations. I read it was the ancient Maya who first used it as an actual numerical placer holder. There's an ongoing debate as to who actually came up with the concept. According to the old saying, the mousetrap, you've never used rodent claymores before. From the inventor of the snail trebuchet and the cockroach claymore comes the revolver mousetrap. Big ballpoint pens. Paper clips. Big ballpoint pens. Methodicus stop working right as I'm on the phone, hastily jotting down an important number. Every Bic pen I've owned I either lost or tried to break in half out of frustration. They're durable though, I'll give them that much. Your paper might be too smooth. You need a little friction to get the ball rolling. Speed square. I don't see that being improved upon too much at all, as long as we're still cutting 2x4s and 2x6s. It people listing things which have been very largely improved on and continue to be. I saw a really interesting vid on it about the sewing machine. Hardcore invention. Veritasium. Just had a look. Yep, that's the one. Hardcore channel. Thanks for that. Going down the hole now. People who don't understand the meaning of words like invention or improved. Maple syrup. Gillian Anderson. I've been in love with her since 1993. The violin. The reason Strad is so famous is cause he perfected the violin in his golden era, the 1710s, and that's it. People have been trying to do better ever since, and every curve, every thickness, everything was designed to absolute perfection. Annoyingly, but truly. Crabs have remained unchanged for millions of years, and several different species evolved into crabs. They have one of the most superior evolutionary designs on the planet. Crab is best invention, and sharks. Remember those little toy soldiers? I might be wrong, but I got some last year, and I'm pretty sure they're exactly the same as when I was a child. Not even sure how you would improve upon the harmonica. Modern LED lights channel virtually 100% of the energy they use into light. Getting more efficient is nearly impossible. I vote for peanut butter. Peanut butter. It ain't getting any better than that. Amen, brother or sister or water buffalo. On the internet, no one knows you're a dog. Close bracket. I knew my dog was my daughter when she started eating peanut butter like there was no tomorrow. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.